Of untruth to what he said. I do think they have a scope on where all teams are, but focusing on the teams that are around you, I think that's the most important thing that it took away from that, because you know, before you get to the point of like late game, you got to worry about the teams that are around you directly, so you can outplay them, you can outmaneuver them, out-rotate them, and then you move into the next circle. So I really loved some of the points he made in that interview.
Yeah. Hey, so maybe not fully truthful, you know, sussy backer over there on us. well, we'll see, but of course, here we go, game 1 of day 4 for the World Invitational East, and after these 5 games, we'll be crowning our champion. Is it going to be Valdez? It seems like that will probably be the case, but it's still an ongoing race for the top 3 currently between the position of Na'Vi, Xavier, and right behind him is going to be Zeus, GeekFan, Blacklist International. We'll see if they can get up there, but not only that, Imperium, we also have the race for the MVP currently of the event. Martin is first, but man, the damage of Frankie is so far out there compared to the rest of the team and the rest of the lobby too. If he gets a great day today, he might be first place right above Martin.
Kicking at the heels when it comes to MVP and kills, right? And then you have Concept. Valdez is Martin's teammate. You have Tixie in the mix, and hell, even one of the other Na'Vi players could show up today. So that's another race we're gonna have to keep an eye on. This phase 1 has popped up, and it's a very good start for the teams. Low-key complements the playing path, but that is Na'Vi dropping a military base with I8. Now, the last time they did that, they kind of respected each other and they disengaged away accordingly, but I don't think it's going to be the same this time around, because the Russian representatives, they have something to fight for. They need to grab as many points, as many kills as they can if they're going to overtake Valdez.
That's also one thing I wanted to talk about at the start of this first game of the day is you got a lot of teams here that they know they're not going to be able to rank up and compete with the top teams. They got nothing to lose. And I remember we talked about this with D-Man on the desk back in PMGC, and it's still so true in the current landscape of the game, which is when a team has nothing to lose, that's when they become the scariest, because they're just going to full send it, change their playstyle, maybe change their job or their rotations. So it's very hard to actually pinpoint what certain teams are actually going to do. One of those teams actually is IA, and that's something that Navi's going to be aware, because now they dropped a little bit spread. Despite one player already going down for IA, they could be that little surprise factor that surprises Navi on depending on how they play. So just going to be a little bit cautious about that. Though Crypto is pinned down and surrounded by players, so you're going to need the assistance of the 2 other players of IA.
Oh no!
That's going to be Trinder helping out a significant amount, but pushing in the open. You know Navi dropped relatively spread. That is not pushed Trinder to trample off. And now only Blade can really be of huge assistance over to Crypto, as he also gets knocked on down, and Tiggsy is just shredding it. This guy's on fire already. He wants to be MVP.
Oh my lord, the Thompson in the hands of Meku blows him to smithereens, and that is going to be Na'Vi wiping out IA at the start of the game. Now, I know the Pakistan fans are not going to be happy about that, but that's the way the kind of cookie crumbles sometimes. That split drop just didn't kind of work out. They weren't expecting, I'd imagine, Na'Vi to drop down with them, because it only happened once in yesterday's games. It is what it is. Dust yourselves off, IA. Really a lot of love to you guys, and get back into the final 4 games. You can still be proud of yourself. For Na'Vi, they're on a mission. They're absolutely on a mission. And, you know, kind of to extend on what you said as well, Max, earlier on. It's also, we've seen teams in the past, and it's definitely become more of a trend, where there's this focus from these teams to I wouldn't say target other teams, but if they know that they have to reach a certain point, it's the last day, they will go all out. We've seen it from Na'Vi last year in the EMEA Championship when they stopped Kanina Power from getting 3rd place in the last day of the championship. Who would ever forget? We've seen Zeus do the same thing in PMPL South Asia, right? To try and secure 1st place. It was the very last game. They had to squad wipe Astra Academy and grab about 30 points to even get 1st. They dropped on Astra Academy in Novo. They ended up losing that fight, but you can respect the fact that they knew what they needed to do. They knew what was in front of them, so they went for it. And that's kind of what Na'Vi is doing right off the bat. It's a shame that IA are the victims of it, but at the end of the day, they're in game. It's every team for themselves. Na'Vi are going to do what they need to do.
I mean, I agree with everything you said, but also something to also put into the picture, I would say, is that this is secondary drop for Na'Vi, and if you knew that was a Southern Plain path, which was the case, I should have been prepared. They should not have dropped spread like that, and Na'Vi came in with a plan, and if you wanted the same thing to happen from yesterday, which you did touch upon, I would have dropped into the U-shaped building up north of military base, and then it would have rotated up north into the hilltops and moved out of that current location.
For sure.
If you have a Southern Plain path, you should be aware that Na'Vi will drop on you right there.
And that's something IA will learn from heading into other tournaments, because this is a team that is relatively inexperienced in global tournaments. It was their kind of first PMCO as a team. It was their first PMPL this year as a team, right? This is a fresh, hungry roster ready to prove themselves on a global stage. The fact that they're here speaks for itself, and the loss of this fight, the loss of the games and the success from the games will all allow them to build the foundations for more success in the future. And I know every single supporter from Pakistan is behind them in this tournament and will continue to do so. So much love to IA. But either way, this game is going on and teams are setting themselves up as we're getting into the blue zone, closing in on phase one. Xavier have themselves set up on towards the hills and spread around the Pachinki area. Zeus on Potato Hill. Remember, Max, they put themselves there on other circles where it was very centralized on the map. And A1 off the back of kind of pushing BTR back a little bit yesterday. They have a lot more space and have put themselves very strongly just to the south of Potato Hill.
Yeah, but that's what Zeus like to do, right? They like to be very close to Olympus. They want to be able to smite down the opponent when needed. So that's going to be the game plan for Zeus, of course. Though there's one main issue with Potato Hill, and that is it's a wide area. It's a very big plateau. If teams want to push on it, you must have some top tier synergy and communication. If you got that on point, then you should be able to defend it relatively easily, but it's still not an easy task at hand. Though we didn't talk too much about the circle, right? It's really essential. It's not even really worth mentioning. It happens all the time. This is the circle that I think these teams have the most experience with. So not really worth mentioning. Na'Vi have yet to rotate over the road, over the bridge. Fnatic Zombies same, and we have touched upon this a few times, saying the Fnatic Zombies do delay their rotation maybe a little bit too late from time to time. So I'm hoping to see them be a little bit more snappy, not only in this first game, but the 4 games after this, because they're one of the teams that could be scary, right? In the prospect of this event, they've got nothing to lose, everything to win, and we'll see if they can maybe try and surprise and upset a few teams at the top.
Variables are there. Valdez have yet to also move away from Rozhok. They have one player, Gooey, inside Watertown, still continuing to loot. I think it's okay. If it was kind of any other team in a lower position, I'd be a little bit worried, but it's Valdez, right? And it's no doubt that they've proved themselves time and time again. It's more the fact that they maybe allowed Nasser to stay ahead of them in towards School of Apartments. That might worry me a little bit. Geek Fam have gone quite deep into the circle on towards a compound that's across the road from church. This is a team that have fallen by the wayside across the last couple of days. They still hold on to 5th place, let's be fair, but there's only now 17 points dividing them in 5th and Reject in 10th. And if you look back at the previous day's results, Geek Fam started off strong, but day 2, they only got 32 points, and yesterday, they only got 30 points in 5 games. So if that trend continues, they could fall down into the second half of the standings.
Well, look, we did have 2 city finishes, right? And when you're looking at Geek Fam, the first thing I think about is not a team that always going to be great, aggressively speaking. But they did get themselves a top 3 in the first city finish over there in Yasnar Polyana, showing that there's some potential, but they played it relatively passive, showing if they went a little bit more aggressive, maybe there could have been a win coming their way and snatched it away from both Na'Vi and Xavier. Who knows? But all I'm going to tell you is that I know this circle is going up north. It's going to be right on top of the aerial school, apartment, and even the northern side of Pachinki itself, so a lot of good positions to hold on to. I'm not really too scared. I do not expect any teams to really go out at this stage. There's a big concentration of team down south, so a lot of attention, I would even say unwanted attention, might be actually slowly but surely coming Zeus's way.
Yeah, it's something they're going to have to be aware of. All of Headshot Hills is currently free, and Xavier instantly responded to that by heading to the compound between School and Pachinki. Very good start for them. DRS taking the engagement onto DS. One knock onto says that people return very quickly by saying,
AJ biting down a bit more than can actually chew. Matthew Ninja going for the little bit of a wide angle rotate and actually will get himself the angle in time. But Sporter from up above will try and smite him down. Unfortunately, only get just a tad of damage on top of his health bar. ZP, unfortunately, a little bit too deep and find that fight. Sporter and Missile will be the two remaining players for GS Gaming. We'll see if they can try and make this go the entire way. But they got the compound at least, so if that means if a team of the rest of DRS want to push them out, they're going to have to breach it, which I don't think they want to do, knowing they already lost a player and got AJ also knocked down.
DRS are a team that I really would love to see a chicken dinner come out from them. They had their best day yesterday, 41 points in 5 games. It's still not good enough in terms of what we're used to seeing from them, but in terms of at least progressively getting better, I think it's a solid return to form. But I want to see that Nepal flag raised up in one of these games and seeing DRS as the chicken dinner winners. I know they have it in them. They just need to get to that late stage of a game as either a full squad or a 3-man team, look to control these final circles, and they have it within them big time. Disengaging away from DS, I think is really valuable and shows that they know they can do it late game, so why look to take an unnecessary fight early on?
It was an uphill battle. I fully understand. That is a fight if they were trying to take it, but like, you're kind of crazy. You give that one a shot. So just leave it. Not worth it. I enjoy that. Definitely playing a little bit more respect in the grand scheme of this game, and they're trying to rotate up north away from DS Gaming itself. There's quite a few compounds. I think they got one. That's pretty strong next to the road so far. So they're going to be holding on to that position, which I think is great. But there's going to be some more action unfolding soon as the last remaining players that are joining the party a little bit late, such as Fnatic Zombies, Blacklist International, and Na'Vi are slowly but surely making their way inside the circle. But Geek Fam, man, there's so many teams coming near them. There was BTR earlier, now there's Myth, so it is going to be a highly contested point, but it seemed like Geek Fam, the fact that they're taking shots is making sure that no teams are going to try and contest and breach on you, so they're just making sure that they zone teams away, which is what you want to see Geek Fam do a little bit more compared to their last days.
Yeah, I really like that. Geek Fam have such good decision making when it comes to the circle shifts. They will react as quick as any other team if they feel they need to, but if they're confident that their position is still pretty solid in the circle, they just won't move and they'll push teams back. They'll allow teams to kind of rotate around them, but that's not in a bad way. Just they know they are then solidified for the next circle. They can focus on getting information rather than focusing on rotation. Talk about rotations as we head into phase 3. Absolutely love that rotation from Na'Vi from Military Island, all sweeping across the western side. But this phase 3 is unfortunately a little bit of a kick in the face because it goes for a little bit of a tricky hard shift down in the southeast.
Normally I would be very critical of this rotation from Na'Vi. I'd be like, well, you're just making it really hard. You know, the circle, there's a big chance it's going to go down south of the river, so I don't really like it. Reason why this is okay in Na'Vi's case is because they normally drop Northern George. Now they're back in a typical Na'Vi game, right? This is their rotation they pull a lot. They used to it, they know the terrain a lot, and they know how teams play, and they know that typically battles do not remain towards Rotok to gatekeep those bridges. So it's going to be a very easy entry point, but it does take a little bit more time to set up, which could bother them a little bit further on down the line. No teams already started moving in. Valdez has indeed left Rotok, and they're trying to spread himself a little bit more thinly versus the likes of NASA Esports. So NASA, and this is great, NASA, they moved away as a team, which is the main issue we had, where they would be so spread and not play as a squad whatsoever. But now you're on the side of the hill, and Valdez are going to try and take a few pot shots their way.
They still have one player in apartments, right? And Valdez have a 3-1 split between school and apartments. I'm not a massive fan of that position by Valdez, but I think they recognize because of the late rotation from Rotok, it's kind of the best of a little bit of a tricky situation. Now Blacklist, they're getting a bit of an engagement on towards Yala Esports. It is off the back of them losing a player, so Yala's still up as a full squad. That is the advantage of Yala rotating a little bit earlier, and it's something of a criticism we've kind of had consistently for Blacklist, that they are just a little bit too slow to rotate into these circles, and because they're not an aggressive team, they tend to get drowned out in terms of phase 3, phase 4 if they come across a team.
Well, it seemed like what we talked about earlier, having Miracle being spread from the rest of his team is definitely going to come and bother them quite a fair decent bit. NASA's going to have to try and pull himself a little bit of a heal up. There you go, the full player. The full going to be knocking on the door. Miracle's got M249. Actually does get some pretty big damage and a knock. but that's all he shall get, and he's going to get put on his knees instantly, and the rest of NASA can't do much about it. It seemed like what you said, Imperium, was true, that they need to try and stick together, and that's something the Valdos could very easily turn in their favor.
What do you think about the fact that none of the other Nasser players looked to try and support, or Miracle didn't look to try and disengage away from that building up the hill? Do you think that was a good idea or a bad idea?
I think that's just something, because the buildings are so close to each other, inside of apartment, they would have heard the footsteps, and they would have understood he was leaving, and they would just wrap around the sides, and it's so hard because you're literally going uphill, you've got just a few trees. I would not recommend it. He tried to commit, didn't work out, but Meku, he's going to commit to that shot to Sarah, instantly gets himself the knock. That pissed from a distance, he will be able to put himself behind the car, and that's a kill confirmed on Sarah. Kill number 4 for Na'Vi. Looking to gather more and more coming their way. Reject unfortunately got caught out very spread, which is something that Reject do quite a lot, Imperium, and seemed like it does go against them a lot more often than it would go in their favor. As Chicks is going to send it, he's going to take himself another 1v1. This guy's been on fire at the start of the game, and he's looking for another fight. Going to go for the blue shot into the smoke, and that's another kill for Tixie. This guy wants the MVP slot.
Yes, he does indeed, but I also think that was a product from Navi of the fact that Fnatic Zombies actually took the kill of Sarah away from Navi. So by pushing onto that area, it's just at least as a 1 or 2 man team, it's really just, you know, taking the time away. It's going hard, going home. Kitsune onto Lapis, that leaves Duello, as far as I know, left in his own. Sorry, yeah, Duello indeed. And this is just Navi absolutely making no mistakes about what they want to do, about how much they want to control this game. And they are already on 7 kills.
And they were already into the circle too. And they got a perfect ridge line. This is so good to actually just peek over that road, get more intel what's currently happening. I would even just recommend them to cross the road and go for the little plateau that's right up west. I think that'll be a great position for them to hold on to, right up north of Fnatic Zombies. Talking about Fnatic Zombies, a very strong compound. They're going to be the ones to regulate what team actually makes it in and which team don't make it in from the south. Geek Fam is going to be the first one to try and enter through that position, followed by Myth and also Zeus later on down the line. So Fnatic Zombies, we want to see them actually get some knocks in a kill feed because they got a great position to get kills right now.
I actually disagree. I don't think they're in a good position at all. Maybe to get a couple of kills, but not for the next phase. And I think that's going to bite them because all the other teams are going to maybe realistically wrap around them. They might kind of on that domino effect grab a kill or 2 onto Myth or Geek, but in my opinion, it's really not, because they're all together in that one compound. They need to send 2 players into the field up north, into the open area to risk, but I think it could be rewarded more extremely well for the next phase.
I said just for kills. Just for kills, they can do really good, but they need to rotate. That's the thing. If they stay there for too long, then other teams are going to get in front of them. That's going to cause them a lot of issues. So they need to be proactive, understand what is more valuable for them, positional kills, and they'll go for whichever they think is the best for them. Zeus and A1 currently, they're going to be both locked, pinned down on side of Potato Hill, trying to make sure they can move away. The thing is, whichever team moves out first, you're going to get backstabbed by the remaining team. It seems like A1 is the one that's going to try and move out initially. Myth is eking forward, closer to Geek Fam, but they got a bit of utility and they're going to make a makeshift compound while DS Gaming are just barely above of their current location. And yeah, Myth, unfortunately, you're just surrounded by teams. This is not a position you want to go into. The smokes are now dissipating and Myth are just open to taking all the damage in the world currently.
If you're going to rotate like that into the circle, just full send it into the center. There's absolutely no information. You're phase 4, you're coming in late. What do you expect? You expect teams to just let you go and yeah, okay, you're fine there. You go there, Myth. Come on. You can do better than that. You are better than that. Proudly representing Algeria, but unfortunately falling short in this game. A1 surprisingly slow rotating in this circle, and they're going to have to crash onto the zombies.
Now, yeah, they're going for Fnatic Zombies. 6-9 taking a severe beating actually to the hands of Salam. And he's going to be jumping out. I like this. Trying to recruit the team, potentially actually going to be committing a little bit further. Will remain. 6-9 just getting aided away by a boon, and now they're going to potentially try and pull the trigger. This still a 4-man crew for Fnatic Zombies. Got a lot to live up to, and that's it. The fight just barely begun, and it's already over. A1 from Bangladesh out in 13th. 12 teams now remain, but Fnatic Zombies, we said it, a team that has nothing to win could be scary, and this team is fragging out hard.
Great defense from Zombies, but let's be fair, that was a desperate crash from A1. That was more of an, you know, uninformative crash. They had no choice because they were late rotating into the previous circles. Feels bad, man. They've definitely represented Bangladesh in a strong way. They had a really good set of games yesterday, especially considering so many teams around them like Navi, Valdis, Dezevi, all had very good days themselves. A1 still stepped up to the plate. They're going to have to reset themselves for the next game.
I think that breach maybe a little bit late because they could have done it when there was actually a knock onto the Fnatic Zombie side or when they were heavily hurt. Now they have time to heal up. So this is going to be a little bit of a harder breach. There you go, sending two other players, not all together. They're trying to surround and just cluster down to two players. It's going to be Salama and also Hamco 5. We need to go for the push together. That's going to be one player of Navi down. Matic and Meku also will follow in his footsteps. It's Kitsune and Tixi only find himself one knock for their troubles. Salam. Cool.
Oh, Kitsune.
Fight up and ready to go. Kitsune trying to push it a little bit behind that wall. Nothing he can really do. And now only Tixi is left and ready to go. Gets the nade, but nades his own teammate actually. But gets himself a knock too, so that's going to be huge. Now it's going to be a 1v2, but at the end he just couldn't push it the entire way as Na'Vi get eliminated in 11th. It was a good start, but unfortunately that breach was not the one they should have went for.
Fnatic Zombies just being kind of gifted kills here in the first game of the day. You know what? That compound seemed to be a golden spot because instead of them going to teams in the open, teams ended up going to them. Now we're left on towards DRS. They do get a player knocked down inside the building. They have the circle in their direction, but Yala Esports are waiting, and the crash is going to come in. Bandar is going to wrap around on the side now. In comes Ida, pushing forward, still alive for the Yala side.
This compound is exceptionally strong. If you can play it correctly, and you've got some really good scouting opportunities, and it's going to be huge. Bandar goes for the push. Fortunately, the pre-fire will not rework as expected. Still some utility coming his way, and that's going to give a lot of time for Nima to actually jump out of the window, regroup with the rest of the DRS squad, and they might just share it, and I think that's okay. When you've got so many teams trying to contest it, sharing it is fine, as Valdas bite the dust in 10th place this time around. Now we're down to single digits. 9 teams in the lobby. We're losing another one. It's going to be Fnatic Zombies after a great start in terms of fragging. Power seemed like the late rotation did not go in their favor as you pulled out Imperium.
Great push by Yala. Ida gets knocked down. Lovely grenade by AJ to keep things off. DRS, why aren't you kind of pushing on that? You know now you have a... Actually, no, they don't have a body advantage because one of the DRS players was knocked down earlier, so that's why they didn't push him. Powerful gets a knock onto Mafia.
Nice smack in the face. The Mafia Ninja with that nade for Powerful, trying to get himself a double. Just quite get it, but Bandar, man, the nade game from Yala Esports is out of this world. And now it's only AJ. They're trying to crawl their way back, but you know that that's not something Yala Esports going to allow. They're going to try and find closer to this fight ASAP to have full ownership and control of this compound. It's looking great in the circle. It might even shift their way onto the next phase. And if that's the case, it is definitely worth it. It is going to be someone to the circle. And they get the nade once again. Man, every single player of Yala Esports got some top-tier grenade gameplay here as they eliminate the entirety of DRS, and now they have full control of that compound.
Absolutely love that from Yala. I'll kind of talk about that a little bit more, to be fair, because this game is starting to kick off massively. BTR, they have a player knocked down, but if they get that revive off, they still have a full squad up on the edge of the circle. This circle is extremely tricky because it's on a slope on this side, and it's out in the open with very little cover.
Xavier also in this one as a 4-man, and they are the ones that are going to be trying to be the thorn in the side of BTR. Look at the nade games, it's so good, and they just got such a good little overhang. They can overlook all of the current position of BTR. They know they're trying to move themselves out of that spot. They know it's scary to stay and remain in that position. You got very little cover to play with. The BTR, you need to try and move away, but it's way easier to say than actually execute. But they're able to get himself over to another stack of trees. So they're trying to get a little bit further out of the nade range of the Xavier as they're continuously pushing downhill in their current vicinity.
As they push away from the Xavier, they're also getting closer to Yala to have the protection of the compound on their side. Nats are trying to find a way into the circle, but with DS up on high above them, Suicate keeping on the edge of the circle down south, it's not easy for them, and I expect, unfortunately, them to get drowned out by the teams around them.
Gonna be a little bit drowned down. We'll see how things will roll out. NASA, though, a little bit scared at some point when we had that push coming out from Valdas right into apartment and school. Still able to make it as a 3-man, so that's big. Could we see this team actually get himself a strong performance to start off the day? That'll be great. A few knocks coming out on Xavier. They're having clearly one of the hardest rotations with DS Gaming. They still need to push downhill. Other teams already into the circle or downhill will have a little bit of an advantage coming their way. So BTR, if they get rid of Xavier, they got almost full control of the north, shared away, of course, with Yala Esports. So this would be a big team for BTR to actually take down.
Because they don't have any vehicles, they can't push that, right? If they had the vehicles, I'd recommend that they just push on the BTR's space, but because it's by foot out in the open, they can only just tread with caution.
Okay, Groves in the hands of Missile. That is going to be a scary prospect to deal with. Hopefully teams will be fully prepared. M24 and also for Lamborghini. Did not play one game yesterday, unfortunately. We'll see if he can get himself some good frags coming his way. Circle about to get into phase 7 now. Teams are starting to settle for some positions. Not really those that they wanted in the first place, but Missile getting slowly but surely creeped upon by Xavier. missile inside the car, I believe, there. It was, oh, that he jumped out, made a little bit of audio. Gave that audio cue over. He gets out, goes for the spray with the Crozer, man. The Crozer is such a scary weapon to deal with. But the backstab is currently happening. He needs to throw down instantly. And he just got saved, actually. He's just got eliminated. If they stayed alive a bit longer, that was it for the South Korean team. But the missile will stay up and ready to go. Because now only GE is alive. And we said it. Stats maybe not too surprising, but he is doing a lot for the team. Maybe this is his time where he actually ramps it up in terms of kills and actually catches up to the rest of the team.
Next circle centers off. BTR is still in play. Yalla have to move out of the safety of their compound. And Powerful is going to be the first player to do that for his side. Smokes around the buggy. It's in cover and there's a little bit of a crate there around them. But what I like about that is because they don't really have the full information, they're not sending the full squad there. They still have a bit of time until that blue zone starts closing in so they can use Powerful as the anchor point, as a front line to try and get more info.
He's getting spotted away. GE also taken down. Now there you go. Out of nowhere, we were up at 4. Now we're down to only 2 teams. It's Yalla Esport versus a 4-man crew here of Biegtron Medallions. 2 teams in Pyramid, by the way, that have got 0 chicken dinners throughout the entirety of this World Invitational East. This is going to be a first time at 100% assured. But which one is it going to be? Is it going to be Yalla Esport from Saudi Arabia, or is it going to be Biegtron from Indonesia? Only time will tell.
So happy it's both of these teams. They do deserve it, especially Yalla with how they performed despite a poor day yesterday. They're coming into the final day with purpose as it wraps around.
Shift the Comeback Kings can live up to their title. They made it for themselves in the contingency funds in Dubai. So now Ida, right behind that car. Believe he popped the wheels, making sure he can't get hit underneath the car itself. Oh, gets up for a second, tries to go for the spray. Nice damage up to Liquid, but Liquid's going to be taking some blue zone take damage just to move in. But they're just getting clustered around by that blue zone and between themselves and the players of Yalla Esports. BTR, they're not even smoked up right now. This is so hard for them. That looks like a really good nade onto Powerful. Unfortunately, not far enough. The idea's there. But Ida, still information is coming the way of Yalla because of Ida's current position being so high up. And that's something that BTR really can't deal with. Liquid's popped down. Nice headshot from Powerful on the DP28. And E3 plays up for BTR.
Oh no!
E3 currently, but they lose another one. That's Loca, gonna bite the dust. As Powerful still got that great rock to play from, and it is gonna be in circle. But now BTR got a little bit more free real estate to play with. They got more breathing space, they're taking more control. Zaxi's got himself a tree, the nade is so close. Powerful, 1 blue zone tick damage and you're out. You need to crawl in, and there's nothing.